Hello there and welcome back to some more Forza Motorsport 7. Today we are taking a look at a brand new car pack. It is the March car pack, also known as the March car pack because there's no sponsor on this one. It is available for $7 or your regional equivalent and contains 7 cars as per usual. Let's take a look at what the cars are. It's also included in the car pass. We start with the 1952 Alfa Romeo XC90 Spider, 155 horsepower, 173 foot-pound torque, 2,185 pounds weight, E-Class car, 290 front-engined rear-wheel drive. This is one of the older cars in the game now, and while sure you might say, well, it's just an old car for being the sake of an old car, why should I care about it? Turns out engineering-wise this is a pretty darn interesting car. It is essentially twin-engined and has a supercharger and dual overhead cams. I'm not sure if it was the first dual overhead cam motor, but certainly must be one of the first. Yeah, a rather interesting car, certainly. I'd be curious to see what you can do to it. How much use you'll get out of it really depends from person to person, but I quite like Alphas, and it's certainly, again, from an engineering standpoint, this is a pretty interesting car. Next up, we have the 1977 Brabham 8 Motor Racing Developments BT45B, 500 horsepower, 239 foot-pound torque, 1,290 pounds weight, P922Pi, mid-engined rear drive. This is, interestingly enough, only the third Formula 70s car that we got in the game, so thankfully that sort of class of racing has been bumped up slightly due to the addition of this, and it's probably one of the more interesting cars in the class. While sure, Niki Lauda and James Hunt drove the other two cars, this one does have a flat 12 engine, which in my mind makes it the best. Yeah, pretty interesting car overall for the flat 12 engine, but other than that, I'm not really a fan of these Formula cars. They don't really tickle my pickle, they're not really that amazingly good to drive, and I don't really get much use out of them, but it is interesting, I guess. Next up, 2017 Chevrolet Colarado ZR2, 308 horsepower, wow, that little, 275 foot-pound torque, 4,754 pounds weight, E299Pi, four-wheel drive, front-engined. It is another pickup truck. You can moan and you can groan all you want about it, but this is a car which I believe we've known that's coming for a while. It got involved in some leak or something. Not the most interesting car in the world. I'm not really a Chevy guy, especially when it comes to the pickup trucks. I'd much rather have a Raptor or a Ram. Yeah. Still, I guess it's nice to see a Chevy truck for the truck guys. I know there's quite a few of you out there who do like your trucks, so yeah, it's here if you want it. Next up, 1983 Jaguar 43 Group 44 XJR5, 525 horsepower, 430 foot-pound torque, 2,030 pounds of weight, P941Pi, mid-engined rear drive. I'm not totally sure what this car is. I believe it's sort of a Group C car before Group C was a thing. It's very weird looking, I will give it that. Not really a whole lot to say about this one. I can't imagine it would be particularly nice to drive, and in the early prototype racers class, I believe PI-wise this is actually down on a few of them, so maybe it'll be a bit quicker in a straight line than some of the others. Maybe the trade-off is handling. It has some cool doors, but that really is all I can really think to say about the Jaguar. Next up, 2017 Lincoln Continental, 400 horsepower, 400 foot-pound torque, 4,547 pounds weight, C437Pi, front-engined four-wheel drive. This is a pretty interesting one, probably the most interesting car in the pack 3. Was not expecting the return of Lincoln, and I certainly was not expecting the Continental. I didn't even know this car really existed. I do have to say, it is a rather handsome car, in my opinion, a really good-looking four-door saloon. Kind of looks like the new Volvo S90s from the front, and the rear end is quite nice and stout. It has the EcoBoost motor, which is used in the Raptor and the Ford GT. Of course, it's in a lower state of tune here. I quite like it. I've got to be honest. I know a lot of people have been sort of doing the return of Lincoln, especially with this car. They'd much rather see the 1962 car, and admittedly that one probably would be a bit more interesting. But I think this car like the return of the Taurus Show from Forza 4, and you might like it a little bit more. Yeah, a rather interesting car, and it is nice to see some variety. Next up, 1988 33 Bob Sharp Racing 300 ZX, 680 horsepower, 508 foot-pound torque, 2,600 pounds of weight, R825Pi, front-engined rear-wheel drive. It is in the GT Racing Reborn class. I think this might be some sort of Group 5 car, not entirely sure. It doesn't look all that Group 5 considering the doors and everything are a different size. No idea what it is, to be honest with you. We do already have a 300ZX race car in the game, and in my opinion, it's the much better version of this car. Never really cared for the Z31. I guess it's kind of cool, but yeah, it's just not really for me, to be honest with you. And finally today, the 2017 Volvo XC90 R Design, 400 horsepower, 472 foot-pound torque, 5,105 pounds of weight, D392Pi, front-engined all-wheel drive. This, in my opinion, might possibly be the only car the world really needs. I really like the XC90. This is my idea of pretty much a perfect car. It has all-wheel drive, it has the room, or more room than you could ever possibly need. It has an absolutely fantastic looking exterior and a rather interesting power plant. You see, this is powered by a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo and supercharger engine. It's twin charged. It's fantastic. It's also got a hybrid power plant, probably the only hybrid car I'd actually buy, other than maybe the Honda CRZ. Yeah, not a lot of people probably happy to see this, not a lot of people, but I do really like the new XC90, I've got to be honest. It's a really cool car. I'm not even really into SUVs, but yeah, this is a really awesome car in my opinion. Overall, what do I think of the pack? It is very weak, if I'm being honest. The Alfa is an interesting car from an engineering standpoint, don't get me wrong, but whether you're going to get that much use out of it, I'm not too sure. Same with the Brabham, interesting, but not that useful. The Chevy, not my sort of thing. I'm sure some people like it. The Jag, same as the Brabham, to be honest with you. I'm sure this car has an interesting backstory, but the Lincoln's cool, in my opinion, but I know not a lot of people like it. I don't like the door handles, just looking at them. 300ZX, again, I mean, we've already got one, and the XC90, while it's a fantastic car, whether you think it should be in Forza or not is really on you. Yeah, pretty weak pack. To be honest with you. Would I recommend it? Probably not. I've seen a few people who really like this pack. I think it's a weird pack. It's one of those which, to be honest with you, it becomes more enticing as you read more about the cars in it. At first I was really not particularly excited about it, but once I sort of started researching into the cars, it did start to make a little bit more sense, but yeah, whether or not they are worth it is entirely up to you. Anyways, thank you all very much for watching, and don't forget to leave your comments and opinions on this car pack in the comment section below, and until next time, farewell.